forget everything I said about the prior warlords. I might have built them up a little bit too much. Doflamingo with his awakened devil fruit and Conqueror's Hockey. That's nothing. That's child's play. Mihawk, greatest swordsman in the world. Today's warlord went toe-to-toe with Mihawk and did not get hurt at all. We are, of course, referring to the best warlord, the strongest warlord, Clown Star Buggy! Oh, my goodness. I kind of, you know what? Part of me is kind of disappointed that I didn't get to do Buggy as one of the first ones, you know, but I really am glad that it took, because it's like you gotta finish him off. You know, he's the headliner. He's the one that we've all been waiting for, and I got a lot of shit to talk about this guy. But let's all start with the idea that this character started off more or less as a comic relief. Now, I don't know if Oda was, like, intending him to become more relevant later on. In fact, I think he did, considering what his backstory is like when we first meet him. But this was really the first villain that Luffy faced that had Devil Fruit abilities. Gave Luffy and the gang a little bit of trouble, but keep in mind, this was back when the Straw Hat Pirates consisted of 2 people. And one of them had a critical sword wound at the moment. And Nami was there too, but she wasn't like a member yet, and she was just kind of helping out. Actually, fun fact, Buggy has never been defeated in one-on-one combat by somebody. Yeah, it's always been multiple people. But yeah, so it was the first one of the first arcs in the story, one of the first villains, I guess, designed by Oda. In fact, Zoro was originally supposed to be part of Buggy's crew in the original. But anyway, so they have their run-in Orange Town. Buggy is just kind of this low-level pirate in East Blue. His bounty is 15 million. Out of all the major villains that Luffy encountered, the only one that I think had lower bounty than that was Alvida, and Alvida only had like 5 million or something like that. Buggy was 15. Even Kuro's old bounty, which was inactive, it was at least 16 million. Krieg was 17, and then Arlong was 20. So it's easy to see Buggy as just like a throwaway villain, okay, Luffy shows up, one of the first villains of the story, like Nami ties his body parts off, Luffy gum bazookas him off the island, and then you never see him again. Or do you? Because out of all those villains, though, you actually get to see Buggy play a crucial role in the story again. The next time he shows up in Logtown, he actually almost manages to kill Luffy. I'm not fucking with you guys here. This isn't like a moment where it's like, yeah, right, Buggy was about to kill Luffy. I'm sure Luffy would have had something under his sleeve. No, he was straight up right about to kill Luffy, okay? And it's only just because of Luffy's massive amount of luck he has, as well as with his dad being there, that managed to save him. Buggy literally had him locked stocks in the freaking Logtown gallows, ready to lop off his head with a freaking scimitar or whatever. It was like 3 inches from his head. Luffy, resigned to his fate, was like, guess I'm dead, guys, see ya! And lightning struck him at the last minute, which of course had something to do with Dragon's Devil Fruit abilities, and that's how Luffy was saved, being rubber, of course. But yeah, he came really close to that, though. Now, just because Luffy might have had better luck there, Buggy also has his fair share of luck. In fact, that's one of the characters where I actually want to consider, like, okay, is the fact that he is such a lucky son of a bitch really the fact? Is that just like a comic thing, or is that like supposed to be indicative of his powers? Is that actually going to lead to something later on? It's the same thing with King in One Punch Man. King's sort of this like comic relief character, but then you start thinking, he's like, no, is his ability really is just he's so lucky and so fortunate that everything seems to work out his way sometimes? Now, shit doesn't always work Buggy's way, but he's attained levels that he does not deserve, right? So let's talk about his Devil Fruit. This is a little bit scattershotted, but let's just get into it because there's a shit ton of stuff I have to talk about Buggy, so whatever. So his Devil Fruit, like I said, one of the first Devil Fruits revealed in the story that Luffy actually has to fight against. His Devil Fruit is the Bara Bara no Mi, or the Chop Chop Fruit. So basically what this fruit does is allows him to separate his body into different parts. We've seen him break up his part, separate his lower half from his upper half. He can, throw a punch and he can extend his fist out and he can just send it all right back in. There's kind of like this field that's around him whenever he separates his body, and as long as his feet are on the ground, think of it like, yeah, it's still his body. It's kind of like with Law's fruit. Law's fruit for some reason can remove hearts, but they can still keep beating, and the person doesn't die immediately. So it's like they're still connected even though they're separated. So with Buggy's fruit, it's kind of something similar where it's like, yeah, he can move his body around, but his feet still have to be on the ground, or otherwise he won't be able to float. Just like if your feet aren't on the ground, you won't be able to stand. So with this case, he has like a field around him. As long as his feet are on the ground, he can, manipulate that. If someone's holding his feet and he stays close to them, he can essentially fly, short-range flying abilities. His weakness to his fruit is sort of the opposite of Luffy's, and I think that's one of the reasons why his Devil Fruit was like one of the first ones utilized. So with Luffy's Gamu Gamu no Mi, he is weak against slicing attacks, and he attacks with a sword. However, he's immune to blunt attacks, and he things with like a club or a hammer because he's made of rubber. He can just bounce it right off. Buggy's the exact opposite. He is weak to blunt attacks, but he's actually very impervious to cutting attacks, as long as Hockey is not involved, of course. We see this we see it with Zoro first. Zoro just like, fuck this clown, and just cuts him in half, and then Buggy reassembles himself and then stabs Zoro. But later on, we see it displayed in much more like ridiculous fashion when he goes up against Mihawk. Well, it doesn't go up against Mihawk. Luffy just kind of grabs him and throws it like Gum Gum Scapegoat, and just throws him right in front of Mihawk as a human shield. And then Mihawk sees this fucking crazy clown, red-nosed freak coming at him, and he's like, oh my god, no! And Mihawk's just like, alright, I don't know what the fuck this is, but... And then turns him into literally fucking fish bait. Slices him like as thin as fucking bologna slices. And you have this moment where he's just like all shredded, and he just like repairs himself, and he's like, oh my god, would you stop? It's not working! And that was a moment, before we really understood how Hockey worked in this story, that was a fucking like, what the... So Buggy is strong, is impervious to Mihawk? What the fuck is this? What is this nonsense? But no, Mihawk didn't use Hockey. If he would have used Hockey, then Buggy would have been reduced to a literal pile of mincemeat on the ground. But hey, at least it showed that, like,